Caves are in many cases nature's sanctuaries, where life rebels against the outside and evolves as if it were another planet. In other cases, caves host strange and paranormal events. Today, you'll see the most frightening things found in caves. Number 5. Flying saucer in Antarctica. Antarctica is as unknown to us as planet Mars. Because of its harsh weather conditions, only a tiny fraction of the entire continent has been explored by people. This has led to a proliferation of UFO sighting stories, but most interestingly, they don't come out of nowhere. In January 2017, a group of amateur researchers found something very unique on Google Maps. In the middle of the frozen continent, there is a giant cave. Standing out from it, you can clearly see the remains of a flying saucer. Since then, many hypotheses have emerged. Among them, it is said that it is indeed an alien ship that crashed millennia ago. It's also believed to be a top-secret, high-tech experiment built by Nazi Germany that went wrong. In light of this, people have begun to investigate further, discovering a group of strangely pyramidal mountains in Antarctica. Number 4. Scary Ape. Toronto, Canada. The year was 1978. A middle-aged man named Ernest had lost his cat, so it was quite late when he arrived with a flashlight at what looked like the entrance to a cave. Before we continue, you should know that Toronto is built on top of a complex system of caves, most of which are still unexplored, so it was not unusual for Ernest to come across one. Anyway, Ernest, determined to find his cat, plucked up his courage and went inside. He had barely advanced 10 or 15 feet when he could make out a figure no more than a foot tall. When he lit it up, he saw that it was a humanoid covered with dense gray fur, with eyes of an intense, bright orange color. The creature was growling, obviously disgusted by Ernest's presence. But most frightening of all, the strange monkey spoke. In rudimentary, crude English, yes, but the words "go, go" could be discerned. Then, the being threw itself to the side of the cave and got lost in the darkness. Ernest didn't hesitate for a second to flee outside. Although it seems to be a story taken from the literature of H.P. Lovecraft, Ernest's friends claimed that he was a sincere man and that he did not like to make up stories. In addition, interviewers said that Ernest was visibly terrified. Number 3. Ghosts in the Haunted Cave. Mammoth Cave is located in the state of Kentucky, United States. It is a cave system of more than 560 kilometers in length, making it the largest cave system in the world. At the time, the system was explored for the exploitation of saltpeter. Today, it's practically an attraction for tourists and ghost hunters. It's interesting that not only tourists claim to see the ghosts inside, but also the staff and guides themselves. Besides, it is said that if you go too far, you will start to hear sounds of machinery and work, as if the mine was actually still active. Number 2. Snake in a cave in Brazil. Did you know that, so far, the largest snake in captivity is over 40 meters long? It's owned by Moon Productions, a studio in Kansas City, Missouri. The snake's name is Medusa. What you will listen to next will blow your mind. Recently, in Altamira, Brazil, workers discovered a cave under the jungle after using dynamite to open up space. Inside the cave, they saw a pale snake, many meters larger than Medusa, slither away into the depths. Fortunately, the colossal snake, weighing over half a ton, was so terrified that it preferred to escape. Are you aware that such a creature is capable of devouring a person in a flash? Still, it is curious that in places far from the hand of man, nature can develop unhindered, creating specimens with colossal sizes and characteristics never seen before. Number 1. Sewer Man. Under the University of South Carolina in the United States, there is a complex of sewer tunnels that have been home to some of the most interesting legends. It is said that the damp, moldy environment attracts a unique and terrifying type of creature. Keep in mind that these tunnels date back to before 1800 and have seen many generations pass by. The first recorded sighting dates back to November 1949. A college student named Christopher Nichols was walking past the Longstreet Theater inside the university complex. About 20 steps away, he saw a person or something similar. In the darkness, he could only make out that the creature was wearing a silver suit, which reflected the light of a nearby street lamp. The silver man saw Christopher Nichols and quickly went into a sewer, removed the bronze cover, and went underground. The student told his story to the university newspaper, where they named the creature Sewer Man. But the story didn't stop there. Only a year later, in 1950, a police officer was patrolling the area when the following happened to him. Approaching where he had parked his patrol car, he discovered among vomit arches a pile of chicken carcasses. The birds were broken and mutilated, and not like the work of a nearby restaurant, but rather like the work of a beast. It was as if only hands and teeth had been used, and the worst thing is that the remains were still warm. The policeman took out his flashlight to get a better look at the scene, and he came across something completely terrifying. A humanoid in a silver suit was crouching on the ground, chewing on a piece of chicken. His face was gray, and his features, although resembling those of a man, were absolutely grotesque and deformed. What undoubtedly made the policeman tremble was that the being had a third eye in the middle of his forehead. The humanoid, seeing that his feast had been interrupted, rose, snarled, and hurried away to a nearby sewer, where again he removed the heavy bronze lid and went into the darkness of the underground tunnels. Zone 0. The Guardian Snake of the Cave. In South Africa, in an area called Richtersveld, far from the hand of God, there is a complex system of caves that go into depths unknown to human beings. The Aboriginal legends tell that there lives an ancestral being called Grootslang, or Great Serpent, in charge of protecting a copious treasure and willing to end the lives of any intruder. The most chilling thing is that everything seems to indicate that Grootslang is real. Lieutenant Fred C. Cornell, a native adventurer, claims to have seen the creature during an expedition in 1910. The lieutenant tells how one member of the expedition arrived at the camp one night, completely terrified. The man claimed to have seen a giant snake near one of the cave entrances. 10 years later, in 1920, they would return. On an expedition in the same place, everything was going swimmingly, but at night, the team felt uneasy. One of the locals told Lieutenant Colonel that on a nearby rock, Grootslang used to stay. The lieutenant decided to put a charge of dynamite on the rock to attract the creature, without success. The interesting thing is that another explorer named Peter Grayson decided to venture into the caves in 1917. Curiously enough, these lands are rich in precious stones, which could explain the legend of Grootslang's treasure. Peter Grayson and his team were never seen again. The natives insisted that it was the monster that had taken their lives. The sightings continue even to this day. People who see monumental reptiles roaming the caves and rivers nearby. People who mysteriously disappeared. Cattle eaten. So far, the Richtersveld mines remain unexplored. Come to think of it, there are still small corners in our planet that the human being has not been able to explore. Caves, jungles, forests, and the depths of the ocean. Precisely, the ocean is another place where creepy things have been found. If you're interested, here you have the video.